One of the most common questions that comes up on this channel is how do you add extra information into your tax return? For example, if you've got more than one job or more than one self-employment. Well, today I'm going to tell you how to do that, how to add additional sections into your tax return. Hiya folks, welcome back to the Small Business Toolbox. I'm Andy Mack and I've been involved with the small business community for my entire adult life. Today we're going to take a look at how do you add extra sections into your UK tax return. And for this to make a little bit more sense, you need to think of a tax return as not just being a single document, but it's a whole collection of different sections that make up a tax return depending on what's relevant to you. So for example, you might submit a tax return even if you're not self-employed, just to declare things like bank interest or dividends. So this all harks back to the days of paper-based tax returns when you would physically need to get the forms sent to you from HMRC that were relevant to your particular circumstances. You can actually still download these forms from the HMRC website. So obviously if you're filling in your tax return online, you don't need to do this, but it's just to kind of illustrate how it used to work really. So if you go to gov.uk/self-assessment tax return forms, you can see all the different sections that used to make up a tax return. So if for whatever reason you did still need to do paper-based returns, here's all the extra sections in here. So employees and company directors, self-employment, business partnerships, UK property income, it's all in here, and these are all different forms that you would fill in. For example, here's the UK property one. You would literally just put your name, your UTR, how many properties you rented out, and you would just fill all of that in. And back in the day, you would physically post that back to HMRC. So back in the day of paper-based returns, you would have one kind of generic tax return document to fill in. This was known as the SA100, and that contained all of the kind of personal information about you, your name, address, bank details, and all of that sort of stuff that pretty much everyone had to fill in. And then you would fill in additional forms depending on the information you needed to give to HMRC. For example, if you needed to tell HMRC about your self-employed business, you would fill in form SA103. And if you had more than one self-employed business, you would get in touch with HMRC and say, can you send me another SA103 form, please? And you would fill in an additional one for your second business. Let's say you also worked a part-time job as an employee and you needed to tell HMRC about that. Well, you would fill in form SA102, the employment section. Normally, if I remember correctly, HMRC would send you the forms that they guessed you would need to fill in based on your last return, but if you needed additional sections, you would physically need to get them posted out to you. Normally your accountant would do all of this for you, and they would keep a stock of these forms in so that they didn't need to keep getting in touch with HMRC all the time. Even now, if you fill in your tax return online and you print out a PDF copy of the return, you can still see on page 2 all the different sections that make up your return. For example, here we've got one employment section, we've got a self-employment section, and we haven't included things like partnership, UK property, foreign income, and all of that. But you can see all the different sections that make up your return, even if you have filled it in online. I mean, this doesn't refer to all the different section codes that we've talked about, but that is what this is talking about. And talking of accountants, as per usual, I am not an accountant. I am not in any way qualified to give you accountancy advice. I'm just kind of explaining my view of the world. Always get a good accountant. Anyway, now you do all of this electronically, and when you're filling in your self-assessment tax return, and if you just scroll down a little bit on the welcome page, you'll see tailor your return, and this is where you would add all the different sections that you needed. Remember, as long as you haven't actually submitted your return, you can jump around between all of these different parts of the tax return as much as you like. So I'm just going to go into enter your tailored return, and this is now literally the equivalent of calling HMRC up and saying, can I add a section for employment, or can I add a section for self-employment, or whatever? And all you do, for example, if you're an employee, you would just say, yes, I want that section. How many employments did you have? How many employment forms do you want to fill in, basically? Okay, let's say you had 2 employments. Let's pretend I worked for Screwfix and Wix. And then what if I was also self-employed? Well, we'd add a self-employment section. How many self-employments did we have? Let's say I had 2 self-employed businesses. We'll call one of them Andy Mac Drums, and we'll call the other self-employed business Andy Mac Fixes Things. I'm not going to add any other sections, but you get the general idea. How many partnerships did you have? Did you have property income? Did you receive foreign income? Did you have capital gains? Do you need to fill in the capital gains section? So you would do all of that and you do save. I'm just going to say no to all of these for the minute just to keep things simple. And now when we go back to our kind of welcome page here, if we just scroll down, you can see all of these sections that we've just literally added in. So I need to add some information about my employment at Screwfix, my employment at Wix, and my 2 self-employments as well. So these are all additional sections in your tax return that we've just added in. It's as simple as that. So you just go into each one of these, fill in all the information it's asking you for. Oh, and if you realize you've added a section by accident that you didn't need, then if you just scroll to the bottom of that section, you can click delete that and confirm, you will now see that the Screwfix section has now disappeared. And by the way, if you make a complete hash of your entire tax return, I've mentioned this before, but on this initial kind of welcome page, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, then you will see an option that says delete your entire tax return. If you just want to start again, forget about all the information that you've already filled in, just click on that. It'll say, are you sure you want to do that? And you click confirm, and then that's you back to the start. Just click file a return, hit the start now button, and away you go. So there you go, folks. I hope that makes sense. And now if someone starts talking to you about an SA 102 form, then you've got a vague idea of what they're going on about. It's very rare to refer to those codes now since everything's done online. But if your accountant's a little bit old school, they might still refer to SA 102, 103 and all that sort of thing. And now you know what it is. Remember, this channel is completely independent and self-funded, and if you would like to support this channel, the best thing you can do is head over to the Small Business Toolbox website and join as a member. As a bit of a thank you for joining as a member, there's loads of spreadsheet templates and things like that that you can download that I've used over the years as part of my small businesses. If you're not bothered about the downloads and you prefer to do the Patreon thing, you can also support the channel via Patreon as well. Links to the member area and to Patreon are down in the description below. As per usual, I hope you found all of that useful. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. Best of luck on your small business journey, and we shall see you next time. Tatty bye.